Yeah, but it's still going to be the Stanley Cup Final, and no matter where it's played. And I feel like both these teams are going to be very up for it.
Okay, let's discuss one big thing. I can't decide if we look at it as like a glass half full for one team or a glass half empty for one thing, team thing. But I came across a couple of things that I thought really could potentially swing the balance of this series. I'm going to spin it positively and say like this thing is good for this team versus bad for the other team. Pete, where do you want to start? With the thing that is good for the Panthers or the thing that is good and exploitable for the Oilers?
Let's start with the Panthers because, not to tip my hand, I had a hard time finding the Oilers one.
Finding the thing that is good for the Oilers? Like the Panthers' Achilles heel that the Oilers can exploit? Yeah. Okay, we can start with the Panthers. And the Panthers' thing to exploit is the Oilers' penalty kill. Last year, we remember the Oilers were PK merchants. Sean was searching for something yesterday and came across a video of us celebrating PK merchant Connor Brown scoring a goal in the Stanley Cup Final. And oh yeah, that's something that we hit going into the postseason a lot, which was when you're looking for what's different about this year's team going into the postseason, the biggest thing that I was hammering was they were the best penalty kill maybe ever in the postseason last year, and they are not that this year. So even though they have new faces and they have upgrades in some areas, I was worried, what's the penalty kill going to look like? The answer, not amazing for your Edmonton Oilers. 14th in the postseason this year. They only let 16 teams play in the postseason, and 14 of them have actually been disqualified, kicked out, not allowed to play anymore. You know why? Penalty kill was too bad.
That's right.
They only let one team with a bad penalty kill through, and that's the Edmonton Oilers. This is a team that in Edmonton that obviously great power play. Florida, obviously great. I think 5th power play. Nothing to write home about-ish. I have it somewhere here, but the exploitable thing for Edmonton is their penalty kill because it has been underwhelming, bad, whatever you want to call it this year. It had moments in that Dallas series where the 2 goals allowed over the last 4 games, which is 80%. That's good. That's a step in the right direction. But like, especially on the road, Oilers penalty kill 55.2%. The other team, when the Oilers are playing on the road, and the Oilers rock on the road, is scoring on half their power plays. So if you're the Florida Panthers, win the special teams battle and do it with your power play, taking advantage of the Oilers PK.
Yeah, I mean that you kind of took it out of my mouth a little bit.
Well, I got some more. So go.
Okay, yeah, no, I like the special teams as a whole, and the penalty kill is a big part of it. Also because Florida's penalty kill is the best of the postseason. Like, that's a big part of it. And then Oilers, I think 16 goals they've allowed on the penalty kill in 16 games. So essentially a goal per game, which is not amazing. Yeah, winning the special teams battle would be a major key for Florida for me. I also think, I mean, this is not reinventing the wheel here, but like goaltending is an area where they can exploit. Stuart Skinner can be got. We know that. And I think that you've kind of developed a false sense of security with Stu right now based off of that he really wasn't tested all that much early on in games over the past couple of weeks. Dallas never got to him first. They never got to him early. And I think that has allowed him to get into a groove. But we know with Stu that can be reset at any point in time. Florida is much more likely to get to Skinner early on in games, and I think that may make a huge difference here.
Last year, when the Oilers had that amazing penalty kill, their top 2 defensemen on the penalty kill, Matthias Ekholm and Cody Ceci. So that's the silver lining for Edmonton this year, which is that Matthias Ekholm has not been available for all but 1 game. He played a little bit on the penalty kill, but it's been a lot of Nurse and Kulak as like the top defenders, but also you're seeing a lot of Evan Bouchard on the PK, who quite frankly hasn't been that bad. But assuming they're going to continue to give Ekholm more rope, it should be better. The PK should be better, but the problem is they're going against a unbelievable power play in the Panthers. So that's what you exploit. If you are the Panthers, the thing that you have in your favor is that you've got a very good power play going against a pretty meh or underperforming PK, albeit one that should be getting stronger. For the Edmonton Oilers, the thing that they can and should exploit, Panthers are not good at home. And this is a series of two teams that have started every series on the road. We know that. Edmonton's been great on the road, 6-3. Florida's been great on the road, 8-2. Worth noting, their 2 losses came in Canada. But the thing that jumps out at me, Florida is 4-3 at home. Florida has an even goal differential at home. Bob is worse at home. I have it here. The Panthers penalty kill is way worse. Or I'm sorry, is worse at home. All of these things that work so well for Florida are worse at home. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's like part of that identity that like they can go in anywhere or whatever, but they're not a particular, like, especially compared to other teams this postseason. Florida Panthers, not a good home team. So when both teams are really good on the road, I think that's something that could potentially sway the balance is like, how do these teams play at home? And if I'm Edmonton, try to get a split in the first 2 games. You know, like I would assume that Florida's winning at least one, if not multiple games on the road this series. But if you're Edmonton, you got to sick them when you're at Amerant Bank Arena.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a little bit overblown just based off of like those 2 games in the second round. They weren't ready to start that second round series against the Leafs. They just did not look like themselves. And yeah, like maybe you
that was in Toronto though.
Oh, correct.
Right,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like I haven't like noticed them being that bad at home.
That's because neither of these teams are like that bad ever.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
But when they are worse, it is at home. So if you're Panthers, power play, pound that struggling Oilers PK. If you are the Oilers, Amerant Bank Arena, the scene of the crime, a place that should haunt you, could be where a lot of great things happen. Because this team is might very well play better on the road, and given their lineup, they're deep enough, are the Panthers, that like there aren't matchups that they're going to get screwed on while they're on the road, because like their third line is awesome. Their second line is really good. Sasha Barkov just won his 400th Selke. So I guess it makes sense that the Panthers are awesome on the road. But the problem for them is their opponent's really good on the road, and their opponent's really good at home. And they're Florida, nothing to write home about at home.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just like an underlying fucking hidden thing that's in plain sight.
Yeah, but it's also like if that's the worst thing, if that's your Achilles heel heading into a cup final, I think you're in a pretty good spot, because I feel like that's more of a spiritual like shroud than it is a real tangible thing. Home and away splits, I don't read so much into as being something that necessarily carries over. It's a small-ish sample size so far in these playoffs. It's not like they've looked like 2 completely different teams. I think that might be an overblown thing. It might not be. But
yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think you just gotta like lead with it might not be.
Yeah, I just think that there's more weight to a penalty kill versus a power play, or like an actual thing that is more tangible than home and away splits. Again, that's my playing devil's advocate, but it's also like I don't really know what the other Achilles heel is for the Panthers at this point.
2.57 goals for at home. 2.57 goals against at home. That is a dead split for the Florida Panthers at home versus when they are on the road, the Florida Panthers score 4.8 goals a game. That's on the road. And these are skewed by games 5 and 7 of the second round against Toronto. But still, unbelievable. And then 2.10 goals against per game on the road. Florida Panthers, like, the numbers are gaudy for Florida. Really, like, Florida's road numbers look like Edmonton's home numbers, and Florida's home numbers look like a kind of mediocre team.
I wonder how much of the road stuff for Florida, too, is them just loving and thriving being in enemy territory.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I said off the top, which is, like, I think that a lot of it is they ain't afraid of nothing. Mm-hmm. They can go in there. They're going to go in there and they're going to make you sick. They're going to hear that Tony Brouwer intro. That's going to be fucking unbelievable. And they're going to knock that speaker over. It's our house now. We don't care. And then when they're at home, they're like, Florida, yeah, awesome out here. Pretty nice.
Yeah, but it's still going to be the Stanley Cup Final, and no matter where it's played. And I feel like both these teams are going to be very up for it. And you know, I'm skeptical about how much the home road thing is going to matter outside of getting the matchups you want, which would obviously be in Florida's favor at home.
I'm skeptical.
We all silly like the mayor.